Hello, it's that time again. It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. Australia, 11 a.m. UK, and 6 a.m. in America. So today there's three of us talking. I don't know how this will go because I've only ever spoken one-on-one with people on here before, but we'll give it a go. And I've got Jennifer Strohecker, I think that's how you spell her name, or say her name, not spell it, who's a life coach. And I've also got Karen, who is from KG Counselling, and she's a counsellor. So they're the only two here at the moment, so I'm going to let them in. Did that work? No. Accept. And find Karen. There's Karen. Karen, you're coming in.
Hello.
Jennifer's there. Hello, Jennifer. Morning to you.
Yes, very morning. 6 a.m.
6 a.m. That's
Yes,
dedication for you, isn't it? Mikey's just joined. Hello. Oh, that's
Hello,
good. You're
Karen.
you're both next to
Morning.
each other. I thought we were going to have a gap at the bottom.
Learn something new every time, right?
Yeah. Look, it's great. So, do you want to introduce yourselves a little bit?
Oh, there we go. A little light on the subject. It's
That's
dark
better.
here.
It is.
Yeah.
So, Jennifer, do you want to just tell people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jennifer, as you said. Yes, you pronounced my name correctly. I was a teacher for 25 years, got out of that when my school building closed down, and just kind of didn't know what to do with myself, knew I wasn't going back in the classroom. And then a friend of mine started coaching and needed a practice client. So I volunteered for the job. And by the end of our sessions, I was a coach too.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
It's very similar to teaching. I just kind of changed my audience a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, look, it is pretty much the same, isn't it? Except you're talking to a range of people from young to old about different skills to help them progress through life, I guess.
Yeah.
Being life coach. And Karen, what about you? Looking like you're on a Saturday morning children's show. All eager. Well, you're all sitting there eager, ready to go.
I'm just wondering if we all speak over each other, what's going to happen there? So I'm just sitting here quiet, keeping my mouth shut for once.
No, well, we're not going to all speak over each other, because what will happen is we'll bring up little bits and pieces from our mental health toolbox, and I'll say, hey, so let's talk about, and then I'll say, Jennifer, what would you like to say? And I'll say, Karen, and then I'll add anything that I feel needs to go in it. But we won't talk over each other. We're all pretty good here. I mean, I guess we all want to talk, but I'm happy to sit back and let you guys talk. I just have to mention a comment by the life coach Josh, who says I'm looking like Shane Warne. So yes, I guess maybe a little bit. Yeah, not quite as old and still alive. All right, go on then, Karen. Give us a bit of a burl on you.
So I'm a grief counsellor. I've also worked with addiction, and also recently started up my private practice as well. So that's a new venture, pretty scary, but you know.
It's that scariness that keeps us moving, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
For those of the people out there who don't know what I do, I've got a diploma in counselling, part of a degree in counselling. I've got several certificates in behavioural management. I've also worked in disability for the last 30 years and worked as a behavioural specialist for a little while. So we've all got a lot of talent here, a lot of experience, and a lot of education. Good stuff. All right, so today we're talking about the toolbox, mental health toolbox. There was a great suggestion, I think, from Jennifer, was it? Or was it you, Karen? I can't remember.
Can't remember.
Or did you come up with it together? Yeah, there you go. You came up with it together. So what are some things that people would put in their mental health toolbox to help them in times, I guess, of stress, anxiety, or to help them move forward, to not get stuck in a rut? What would be, I guess, the first one that we talk about? Shall I give you a clue?
Who wants to go first? Who wants to go first?
Which one?
Jennifer.
I was thinking about this long and hard because I think over the last months, listening to you and Karen and I talking, we all have quite a bit, but I was trying to narrow down the importance for me personally. And I think what really, really, really helps me when things get crazy, which in my life they often do, is really having a morning and an evening routine.
Yep.
And I think the reason I found that so important is because I initially, when I stopped teaching, I felt that my life was so regimented that I just wanted to free flow, you know, and I didn't want any schedules and I didn't want any time. And I found that mentally that didn't help so much. That kind of created more anxiety and stress for me. So in the past couple of years, I've really nailed down a great morning and a great evening routine. And it helps me start the day on a good foot and then end the day in a kind of calm and regrouping sort of way so that I can get a good night's sleep.
Brilliant, brilliant. What have you got to add to that, Karen?
I think when it comes down to stressful times and feeling overwhelmed, anxious, depressed, we've got to think of it like it's not just about our mind, it's about our mind, our body and our spirit. Because they all work together in conjunction with each other. So we've got to look after our body in order for our mind to work healthily, and we've got to look after our spirit as well. So what I mean by that is like meditation, or if you're a religious person, maybe you might pray or look to God for help. I like to meditate myself. That really helps me it relaxes me, it grounds me. It makes me aware of what's going on for me as well. It can bring lots up, meditation, especially breathwork meditation. And your body, I mean, exercising is really good for you. Feeding your body the right food as well. Because if you're eating crap.
Shall we break some of those down? Because I think you brought up some great points, and so has Jennifer. So if we start with Jennifer, who said about having a morning and an evening routine, I mean, that is brilliant, because I don't even think about that, because I just go through my routine as I go to work, come home, what I have to do. But actually, on a Saturday and Sunday, if I've got the weekend off, I will generally get up, have a coffee, have my breakfast, sit and watch a bit of TV. Then after about an hour and a half, I've lost my motivation, because I'm like, oh, I've got the day off, I won't do much today. But if I had a routine that on a Saturday, you know, I'd have breakfast, have coffee, I guess take the dog for a walk, come back, do a bit of house cleaning. If I had a routine, I would probably feel a lot better about the weekend. Whereas at the moment on a Sunday afternoon, I'm usually rushing getting the vacuuming done and washing done. And then it's like, oh God, I've got to go to work tomorrow now. And that's my weekend done, because I've just watched too much TV. So I like the routine thing. So what sort of things do you put into your routine, Jennifer?
Well, I'm having to adjust it right now. As I said, it's dark, but during the summer, my routine was my husband leaves for work at 6, so I'm up at 5:30 so I can see him before he goes. And then at 6 o'clock, it was grab the coffee, grab the dog, and head outside. And I would do a bit of meditation outside. The birds are going, the crickets are going. It was really beautiful. And then I would do some reading or some journaling. Of course, on Wednesdays, it was somebody's podcast I had to listen to. I'm adjusting that now, because it's dark out at 6 o'clock, so I can go out, but I need a blanket sometimes. And but it just it was a nice way to ease into the day without getting up and feeling like I had 100 things to do. And if I did that and I took that little bit of time, then when I did come in, I could very easily get to work or whatever I was doing for the house, or get ready to leave if I had to take the parents out or whatever. So just that half hour, 45 minutes of easing into the day for me, some meditation, reading, journaling time is super important.
And do you mean meditation by just walking and, you know, being in your own sort of world, listening to things, or do you mean actually sitting down and meditating?
I kind of mix it up. Some days when the birds and the crickets are going, it's just really meditative itself to just sit there and listen. And I don't have my journal or my book or anything. I just literally sit still and just tune into my surroundings. The one thing that I associate with meditation a lot, and I think it comes from sitting back there, I live on a busy road, so I can hear the traffic going by. And that's kind of meditative in itself, because they always say your thoughts are just passing. So to me, if I get something in my head, it's like the car's going by. It's there, I hear it, but it's gone. So I kind of use that, but then other times I'll put Insight Timer on that I was telling you about, and I'll do a guided meditation and just listen to somebody talk me through it.
Yeah, that's good, because look, a lot of people I think that they need to sit cross-legged, listening to some meditation,
Yeah.
and just focusing on that. But meditation can happen like mindfulness when you're out walking, if you're listening to some nice music, you know, because it's taking you out of your normal day-to-day stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So what about your morning routine, Karen? What's that like?
I like to journal when I first wake up, and I try to meditate. I'm getting better at it now, and yoga as well. I'm trying to get some exercise into my morning routine as well, because that really makes you feel good and it sets you up for the day.
Yeah.
So if you can try and do that, it's just creating that habit every day. And once you create the habit and you get used to it, then it becomes normal.
Yeah, look, I think habits are great, and habits are, I think, generally looked on as 21-day cycle. If you can do it for 21 days, then it becomes a habit and it becomes what you normally do. I wanted to pick you up on physical health. So what are some things, Karen, that we can do for physical health other than yoga and meditation?
Going out for a walk, taking your dog out for a walk, going over the park. Even if you're poorly and you're not very mobile and you can't even get out, you can just do some light exercises sitting down. You can Google them on YouTube. Simple light exercises, or even dancing.
Yeah.
I love dancing. I love having a good dance on my own when no one's watching me.
Well, it's the
really
best time,
good,
isn't it? Because you can just let yourself go and no one's there to watch. I like putting my earphones in sometimes when my housemate's in the other room and just listening to music. And if I'm cleaning, it really boosts my whatever it is to keep cleaning. I just feel energized.
Yeah, your endorphins.
Yes, endorphins. And I think something that's come up recently is chair yoga. My business partner's been doing chair yoga with some of the guys that have a disability. So even if they've got problems with their legs, they do the upper body, and if their legs are okay but the top isn't, then they do the bottom part, and they're really loving it. And it only takes like 5-10 minutes in the morning.
And it's moving your body as well, so you don't have to do anything strenuous, do you? As long as you're just moving your body.
Yeah, well, look, there's a couple of comments. Mikey from MC Counselling has said, I love to dance. Don't we know, Mikey? And Simply Anxious says, I love a kitchen dance. Yeah, kitchen dance is good, especially when you're cooking. Yeah. So how do we create habits? I just said it was a 21-day cycle. Let's go, first of all, how do we break some habits that we might have that aren't good for us? And it's not necessarily drugs and alcohol. It could be drinking too much coffee, eating too much chocolate. What's some tips that you might have for breaking a habit? Jennifer. Sorry.
The one thing that helped me, one of my coaches suggested just kind of writing down everything that you do. So if you took your morning, for example, and you wrote down everything that you did for the morning, when you look at it and you see it on paper, you kind of have to go back and second guess yourself. Do I need 4 cups of coffee, or is just 1 cup of coffee good? Or is skipping breakfast really helping me? Or, getting out of bed and right away you want sugar and you grab something sweet, those kinds of things. When you actually write it down and look at it, it does make you question yourself and say, all right, well, I really don't need that. And like you said, if you could do it for 21 days, I think for some people that 21 days is a stretch, whether you're cutting it out or trying to build. So I always do everything in baby steps. When I wanted to cut back my coffee, I'm like, all right, for 2 days, I'm only going to have 1 cup of coffee. I'm going to see how I feel about it. Well, then in 2 days, I was like, okay, I didn't feel any different. Didn't make me tired because I didn't have the coffee. So then it was easy to go, okay, I'm going to do 3 days in a row this time. So just building in those little baby steps.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, because I think sometimes, when you think about it being 21 days, it's overwhelming, isn't it? It's like, God, after the third day, how am I going to get to that?
Sometimes.
We do just have a comment here. I really relate no, I really realize that I'm an evolving being every minute. I've been identifying myself or my body with people's words and the past memories when this is all isn't true. Why do we take so much time in learning that we are changing beings every minute? Karen, do you want
I guess
to make
that's
a
all
comment
to
on that?
do with how we're raised as children as well, and like how, because we learn from our caregivers and our parents, don't we? And we pick up their behaviours, values and beliefs. So if they're not like that, if they're not looking after themselves, then we're going to be exactly the same, pick up their habits and their behaviours until we recognise ourselves, who we are, and then we can
Yep.
start to change that.
And do you think change for people who are later in life is a difficult thing, or do people talk themselves out of challenging themselves to something new because they go, oh, look, I'm too old, or oh, people of my age don't do this?
Yeah, I think with the older generation, I'd say like my mum's age, it's even harder for them to break the habits because they've been so used to it all their life. And they're so stuck in the mud, and they're just happy. They think they're happy with the way that their life's going. But I would agree with you, it's more difficult, for sure.
And I think also as you get older, you believe that you are only able to do what you were doing. So say you've done, I don't know, carpentry for 30 years, 40 years, and all of a sudden you lose your job. You think, oh, that's all I know how to do. Whereas actually we've got so many things in our head that we do know how to do. We just might need to retrain slightly to be able to do something completely different. Jennifer, do you want to make a comment on that?
Absolutely, because that was me 100% 4 years ago. And I think, as we said, your parents play and your teachers play a role in that. And I think our generation was maybe one of the first to start looking at, hey, maybe we're not going to do the same exact thing for our entire lives. We know that the next generation is probably going to change jobs and careers 5 times, but our generation is still trying to grasp the idea that, okay, I went to school to be a teacher. Now my teaching career is over. Oh my gosh, what do I do? And I literally remember having conversations with teachers maybe 10, 15 years back saying, if we don't teach anymore, what are we going to do with our lives? We have no skills. And that's absolutely not true. It's just that your mind is in this identity frame. You identify with being a teacher and that's it. And as I said, coaching is super similar to teaching, and everything that I was doing as a teacher, I'm doing now with coaching, but it was just a reframe of the mind. And I think, it's taking a lot of conversation to get, I think, our age specifically to realize what you did 10 years ago doesn't have to be what you're doing now. And you still have plenty of skills to cross over into something else.
Exactly. And if you look at your teaching skills, I mean, that is a really good example of a crossover to what you're doing now, because even though I guess some people would look at it and go, well, you're a teacher, so you teach kids. But in teaching kids, you're learning so much yourself every day, aren't you? Because
Exactly.
it's not where you're just stacking a shelf or using some machinery. Every day you're having interaction. So you're learning all those behavior skills of how we interact as humans.
Exactly.
So I think it's Mathali who made the comment before, said, if we all just identified from always that we are soul or have been seeing ourselves as soul, everything would be so much easier. Not easier, but better, and would be more understanding. Yes, we do put a lot of restrictions on ourselves as we're growing, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
And it's our belief system as well. So how can we change a belief system that's been brought down on us from our parents and I guess our peer group as we're in our teens to 18, 19 years old? How do we change those if we're not getting what we want out of it? Because there are a lot of people, I guess, especially in that, say, 15 to 19, 20 age group, who stick with their friends even though they might not be a good group to be around. How would people be able to change the way they think or their outlook or make new friends? Is that a too broad a question for you, Karen?
No, I mean, it all comes down to self-awareness, doesn't it? And building up self-awareness and getting to know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, then you're not going to be doing the things that are right for you and right for your life and what you want to be doing. You're just going to follow the crowd and follow along. And so I guess working on yourself and becoming aware of your behaviours, your habits, your values, your beliefs, why you're doing certain things. Why are you doing it? What's making you do it? Do you really want to do it, or is it because someone's telling you to do it? And I think that's where journaling comes into it a lot as well.
Yeah, so I guess that goes back to what Jennifer was saying about writing down your day of what you do during the day, journaling and writing notes. I mean, I used to be a big person for having an A4 page paper and writing down everything I wanted to do and crossing it off as I went. And for some reason, a few years ago, I stopped doing it, and now I lose track, not of what I'm doing at work, but just at home. Whereas I used to go, oh, okay, I've got to vacuum today, or got to do this week, and I stopped doing it. And now I feel like I'm always trying to remember what I have to do.
Yeah.
So what sort of things would you put in a journal, Jennifer?
Again, that's something I mix up, and it kind of just depends on the day. And a lot of it does have to do with, us evolving and growing, and something, maybe I listen to a podcast, or maybe I read something, or maybe I have a conversation with someone, and I'll say trigger, but it just, in simple terms, just makes me think of something. And I'm going to go back to what Karen said too. Why are you doing it? If I'm feeling anxious about something, I'll start writing about that, and just start with, I'm feeling anxious, and I'm feeling this way because. And then when you start writing, again, it's that self-awareness. It makes you double look at yourself and go, okay, well, this isn't really what I want. This is what I've been taught to believe. And, is there justification for that? Do I really need to do this? Do I really need to feel a certain way about something? Or am I just doing it because I've been conditioned to do it? And the journaling really helps work through that. Just in, whether you're stressed or anxious, or certainly in the case of when you lose someone. I did lots of journaling after losing important people in my life. Just, it kind of helped me through the process, like, feeling like maybe I need to grieve longer, or am I doing it right? Or is there a certain amount of time? Should I be better by now? Those kind of things. And doing that just kind of put a frame in my mind. This is all about me. Nobody else can put input here and tell me what my timeline is.
Yeah, and look, I like that, because there's also the idea of, if you've got a lot of problems, you write them down and, throw them away or burn them and say, okay, those problems are gone. Not that necessarily those problems are gone, but also the thing of journaling is that you can always go back and look at, if you're having a similar thing happen to you, you can look back and go, well, how did I deal with this last time? And then you can see how you dealt with it, what ideas you had, and why it was easier, I guess, to work through it. What's your thoughts, Karen?
Well, it helps you to reflect on your past behaviours as well, and that's all part of growing and learning, isn't it? Because you can see, and you might even think, why was I even worrying about that? Why was I even thinking that? What was going on for me there? And it really helps you to grow as a person, and then raise your self-awareness as well, and then think, hang on a minute, that's not my value, that's not my belief. Why am I doing that? What am I doing it for?
Yeah.
And then you can start to realise your own worth, and know that you've got a lot of work to do as well on yourself, and recognise.
It can be really hard, though, for someone, can't it, who hasn't studied what we've studied, worked through what we've worked through, to actually be able to have the insight to go, okay, these are the things I need to change. And that's why, like, life coaching, grief counselling, they're all helpful. Even if you have one session and you say, okay, I want to come for one session, I just want someone to help me put my ideas into place of what I want to do. And, I mean, not that we necessarily say, okay, this is what you need to do, but we can help them work out which are the better ways to do it. Or, I don't know, help me out, Jennifer.
Well, it's
different for everyone.
Yeah.
Karen, you were saying you try to meditate. Dan, you and I were talking about Insight Timer. And I think that much as we say there's stigmas around mental health conversations and things, I think that if you haven't been experienced or tried journaling or meditation, or, getting out and taking a walk, like you said, when you're stressed, if you haven't tried it yet, you don't see the benefits of it. And I think we get it up in our head, like, I think you mentioned earlier with meditation, oh, I have to have certain tools and I have to have certain things and I got to sit down and I got to sit there for half an hour. Really, for each one of us to benefit from anything, we have to adapt it to our own way. There's no
Yeah.
rules for meditation. There's no rules for journaling. It's what each individual person feels better from. So if I do it for 5 minutes and I can feel better, that's great. Maybe somebody else has to start with a minute because they don't sit still well, or maybe somebody else feels they need to sit there a longer time, or maybe they want to do a walking meditation. There's no rules. So each person has to adapt it to themselves. And that's where, like you said, even one session can kind of steer people in the right direction and give them new things to try.
Yeah, look, I love that because, when I was doing my studies, and I'll be honest here, when we did the part on mindfulness and meditation and journaling and all those sort of things, I went, what a crock of shit. I'm not doing any of that. I don't need to do that. But then as I developed past my training and I started working with clients, then I actually started going, actually, yeah, look, it would be really good if you wrote down some notes this week of, I don't know, A, B, C, D of the things we've talked about, and give me 3 or 4 points of why you think these are happening to you, or why they're negative, or why they're positive. And then next week we can have a look back through what you came up with. And it was really interesting to see what the people came up with in that week. Some people I prejudged and went, I think they're going to write this sort of stuff. And then they came back and I'm like, wow, that was not what I expected you to write. That's really insightful. You've really thought about what's going on. And yeah, and saying that, a meditation can be a minute, it can be 10 minutes, it can be an hour. Not everybody has to start at the same point, and someone might start meditating and go, oh, I want to do another one, because there are no rules, are there? And I think sometimes in this sort of field of self-help and coaching and counseling, it's almost looked on as, you should do at least 20 minutes of meditation a day. You should do 10 minutes of journaling, and that's what I guess some of the people who are selling a lot of courses do. You must do this, you must do that, blah, 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 because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere. I really hate the stuff I see on here about you need a side hustle. That was really loud, Karen.
Oh, sorry.
That like the roof was coming in.
Sorry.
But, I think side hustling is great. If you want to do another job, that's great. But there is so much stuff at the moment, which is you need to do this. You shouldn't watch this. You shouldn't read this. You shouldn't. And I think, God, no wonder people are so confused about what they should do. You should do what makes you happy and what's going to make you feel more inner peace. Because when you've got inner peace, then you can actually go out and do these other things. When you're being told all these things, have cold showers, don't drink beer, no porn, no this, no that, people go, oh, that's so much to stop. But as you're saying, if we start small and gradually build on that, we can make big differences, can't we?
Yes, we can. And it's
Karen,
what you're saying there. It's about other people's expectations, isn't it? What other people expect us to do. And then if we're not comfortable in our own skin, or we've got none of that self-awareness, then we're just going to go with the flow and do what they say and do what they do. And then, like you say, once you start doing the stuff, and then it slowly, gradually builds up. And then we evolve into this wonderful, self-aware person, don't we? Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
And do we think that sometimes if someone's just starting out with doing some meditation and that, they're likely to tell their friends that they're doing a lot more than what they're doing?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
If they're still hung up on that expectation, yes.
Yeah. Now we had Mathali, I hope that's how I say your name. Why we shouldn't identify emotions as negative or positive? Why shouldn't we emotions are negative and positive, aren't they? Yeah. But then again, they are, what's the word? They can, like anger can be positive and negative. Anger is always looked on as this is bad, shouldn't do it, shouldn't get angry, blah, blah, blah. But from anger comes passion, comes changes because you're angry or upset about where your life is and you want to change. I'm not saying anger is a great thing across the board, but there are some benefits from being angry. It can create change. It can create a difference in you because you're not liking where you are. And I always say that with positive and negative, with nearly everybody on the planet, they can name 5 things that are negative that have happened in their day before they can name 5 things that are positive.
Go on then, Dan.
Where the journaling could come in too.
The what? The journaling?
The journaling could help with that too.
Mm.
Yeah, because, and I think we're hardwired because when we're young, and this isn't saying our parents are bad, but, you know, when you do something and they go, naughty, naughty, you know, but they hardly ever say, wow, didn't you do a great job? Maybe as kids they did, but as you grow older, then you don't get so much praise. You just get told when you've done something wrong.
Mm.
So I guess we learn to accept the negative rather than accepting the positive. I know I have a big trouble in accepting compliments and praise.
Yes.
But that's not because I was always negative or told I was negative. I can't do it. But do you know what I mean? So with negative and positive,
Yeah.
like what are two negative things you could say about yourself now, Karen?
I spend too much time on my phone. I drink too much tea.
Two positive things.
Um,
See how long you're taking?
Yes, how about it?
That proves the point, doesn't it? Jennifer, two things you're negative about.
I get distracted way too easily, and I'm very hard on myself.
Positive things.
Oh, you cut out there for a minute.
Two positive things.
There you go.
You're
Okay.
stalling for time.
Two positive things, as I made a lot of great connections and gotten out of my comfort zone quite a bit lately.
Good. We can see you're a life coach. But do you see what I mean, Karen? You found it a lot harder to say two positive things. I would be the same. If you said it to me, I'd go, I was tired all day.
Yeah, your turn. Go on.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I was tired all day. And another negative thing, I had to drive home while I was tired. They're not really great negative things, but they were negative things.
Positive.
Look, I had a great day at work with my clients, and my mum was feeling really good this evening. I could go on. See, I've learned to change, to always bring the positive forward before the negative. And it's not easy. It took me a long time to be able to see more positive in everyday life than negative. And I see it all the time in people. They're always going, you say, oh, how you been? Oh, well, this went wrong, that went wrong, that went wrong. You know, what's the positive thing? Oh, not really much. And then you get into the conversation, you realize, oh, actually, there's 5, 6, 7, 8 things you're positive about. But they're always the things that come secondary to the negativity.
Mm.
Small wins are important.
I'm just gonna. So Mathali said, anxious attachments, attachment issues, trauma bond. Why it happens? Why does attachment happen, and why? So, attachment. Let. Who wants to take that attachment therapy? This could go for hours on attachment therapy. Who wants to do it? No
I'll
one.
put a little spin on it.
Go on then.
You were talking about the positive and negative emotions, and that kind of brought up the word attachment to me. Again, I think it's because of the conditioning, whether it was when we were young from our parents, schooling, even in our jobs. How you were talking about as a kid, you're told you're naughty, you're naughty. How many times in a job do they come to you and tell you what you're doing wrong versus the amount of times they come and say what you're doing well? So I think we have just been conditioned to attach labels to emotions. Regardless of what you call your emotions, all your emotions are valid. Whether you see them as positive or negative, that's somewhere along the way we learn to associate positive and negative with our emotions. You have to experience all of them: anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, whatever, happiness, joy, all of them you have to experience. They're all part of life. It's just, I think certain people and circumstances have more attachment to some emotions than others and drag them out and carry on a little bit longer, maybe than necessary.
And look, I think one of the good examples is when parents have divorced and a child then is either torn between both, which one they want to be with, or otherwise when they grow up older and then they start relationships, they've sort of got it in their head, well, my marriage might not last because my parents didn't. And so then they have distrust. And who was I talking to the other day? I was talking to this girl whose boyfriend had, his mum had put him into care when he was younger because he was quite a difficult child. He'd come out, he'd got into trouble with the law, he'd gone into jail, and then he'd come back. His mum had accepted him again, but he always felt like she was going to reject him at some point. So he kept doing small crimes because when he was in jail, he knew how the system run. And I know this happens with a lot of people who go to jail and places like that, is that they know their routine and they know what's needed of them. And his relationship now, because this girl he went out with when he was 16 and now he's 25, they're going out again. He's constantly asking her if she's going to leave him. So he's got a very actually negative attachment style connected with her, hasn't he?
Sure.
Karen.
Yeah, because he thinks people are going to leave him all the time, doesn't he? He's not
Yeah.
secure at all whatsoever. And that all comes back to everything he's been through, doesn't it? And it's really tough. I can really relate to that and resonate with that, because my parents split up when I was younger as well. So that attachment style, you kind of don't feel secure in relationships. I can really relate to that. But then,
Well, look, go on.
No, go on.
No, you go on.
I've forgotten what I was going to say now.
Okay, I was just going to say, in one of the relationships I had, my partner, we went out for about 3 or 4 years, and then she just up and left. And the thing was, I knew when it started, or I assumed when it started, she seemed to be following patterns of her father, who had divorced her mum and then gone on and started seeing this woman, and then run out on her and started seeing another woman run out on her. And this girl I was seeing was repeating the same things. And it was because that was what she was used to from seeing what her dad did.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, but there's a good chance that she was repeating his behaviour.
Oh, yeah. Because that's what she's grown up with. So it's learned, isn't it?
Yeah.
We learn from people, and the important people in our lives. Not necessarily good habits.
No, because it depends where they've come from, how far back down the generations they've picked up these habits and these things that drive them to then, us actually going, well, hold on a minute, I don't want to be like this. I want to change. Not myself necessarily, but other people who come and see us, that they can see the generational trend that's happened, and how do they get out of that?
Mm.
All right, I'm
It's
going to
quite
change
hard,
here.
because you can get stuck, can't you? It's really hard.
You can.
You get stuck in it, and then you don't even recognise that your behaviour or what you're doing, or that it's wrong, because it's just normal. It's normal life to be living like that.
And also, you can get stuck in that pattern of overthinking things, where you get to a point where you're overthinking so many different things that you actually don't move forward, because all you're doing is sitting there thinking about everything that you should be changing, but you're not actually changing anything.
Yeah.
Oh, that word. Should.
Should. I know. Should.
Get that out of there.
Yeah, I'm only using it in an example. I never use should in my life. Now, so how important, because we're talking about a toolbox, is sleep for mental health?
Giant.
Jennifer, you go. I must say, Jennifer, before you speak, that mandala behind your head almost looks like an angel's thing behind your head.
Perception.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very cheap wall hanging from Amazon.
Oh, okay. Cool. I might go on Amazon.
But I'll be angelic if you want me to be. That's cool.
So how important is sleep?
Huge. And that was something I think I learned recently when I started my personal development journey. A few years ago, after COVID, I wanted to lose weight, and I got on a program, and it wasn't just about counting calories. It looked at everything. And I think my biggest takeaway from that program was really how important sleep was. Then I started doing my own research, and I think that's when I really got into the morning and the evening routine, specifically the evening, because there are so many things that you can do to help set yourself up for sleep that most of the people in the world are not doing. And I was even listening to something the other day about how important temperature control is for sleep, that we sleep so much better in a cooler environment. And it really, truly does affect your body in so many ways, physically and mentally. And I mean, let's face it, if you have a crummy night's sleep, you're getting out of bed on the wrong foot, and you're just setting yourself up for disastrous kind of day, maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Karen?
Definitely.
Are you a good sleeper, Karen?
Haven't been recently, no.
Oh,
No, I've not
but,
been.
but generally you would sleep well?
Yeah. 8 hours a night. I do
Yeah,
like my sleep. And I think having a routine and going to bed at a set time as well is
yeah,
really important for sleep, because if your sleep pattern's all over the place and you're going to sleep all different times, then you've not got that routine. It's all about habits again. I'm going to say that word again, habits.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And look, I
It,
think with sleep as well, it's when our body's regenerating overnight, isn't it? Our digestion's working better, our brain's actually being able to slow down a bit so that we can get through the next day.
and that's where mind, body, spirit comes in as well. Because if we're not doing anything physically active throughout our day, we're not going to feel tired. So if
No.
we're not doing anything and we're just sitting there on our bum, we're not going to feel tired. And we're going to then get into even more bad habits by, you'll probably sit there eating junk food, which is not good for you. You'll probably sitting there watching telly till all hours of the morning. You know, it's just an ongoing cycle. If you don't recognise it, you need to look after everything.
Getting
And that,
outside too. Karen and I talk about a lot, getting outside
Yeah.
and just getting that fresh air. That helps. One of the things I learned about sleep, which I never really thought about, is when you get up in the morning, getting outside, getting in that daylight, taking in that sun, because it helps set your circadian rhythms. If we look at, we're talking about habits and patterns, nature is all repetitive patterns, and our bodies are set up to do the same thing, except modern technology has had us bucking that system for quite some time. So if you kind of think about night and day and set your body the same way, like Karen said, get yourself on a routine, going to bed at the same time every day, your body wants to naturally have a pattern.
yeah, yeah. And look, until we get into a good routine, then lots of other things can go wrong, can't they? Insomnia is one of them, and insomnia insomnia happens to me probably every 6 weeks for a week. There was a comment here by Blixer Girl who said, "Oh God, sleep and I have never been friends." I think if I remember rightly, Blixer Girl drinks chamomile tea before bed. That can help. And also a good one that I've learned is milk and nutmeg, which
Yes.
actually just really calms you and you have a really good calm sleep, especially if you have nightmares. It's supposed to stop the nightmares.
Hmm.
What else did we have? Nutrition. How important is nutrition to mental health?
Giant as well.
Yeah.
Very big, yeah.
Cut
Do we
out the
want to
sugar.
cut out the sugar?
All the things we love that we've been conditioned to eat are just so not good for us. But I kind of try to look at things in moderation. Obviously, I want to be healthy, and I don't want to eat the toxic chemicals, and I don't want to eat the heavy metals and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, who doesn't love a donut now and again, right? You gotta
Yeah.
look at everything in moderation, and there are certain things that you can allow yourself and enjoy, but don't make a habit or a pattern of eating them every day. And just generally try to limit processed foods. And it doesn't really take all that much time. I think that's a big misconception that people have with eating fresh foods, is that it takes so much prep time. It really doesn't. And I think the less processed you eat, the better off your brain is going to be, and the more energy you'll have to get out and do things like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, look, last week I'd bought a load of vegetables and I hadn't had time over the weekend to cook them. And so the other night I chopped them all up, put them in the steamer, and actually it took 10 minutes.
Yes.
And then I had a really healthy dinner. And then the next morning I woke up feeling a lot better. So I think sometimes we can talk ourselves out of it as well. Like, oh, that's going to take so long. I mean, if you're doing a roast, yes, a roast will take you a long time, but you don't have to actually sit there waiting for it. You do have to sit there waiting for it. You just don't have to stand in the kitchen waiting for it. You just stick it in the oven and it cooks.
Yeah.
But my mum always says to me, "Oh, we didn't have as many illnesses when she was younger because we ate properly." And I said, "Yeah, but you also only lived to about 50, whereas nowadays we're living a lot longer." So there has to be sort of a balance between how our parents and grandparents ate to how we're eating now, so that we're still having all that fresh vegetables and stuff with not so much animal fat that we're cooking in, but also have a little bit of the nice things that we like that are around today.
Yeah, I think if you think about diet and what you put inside your body, think of it like 80-20, 80% healthy, 20% crap in your body, and then you're just having it in moderation, like Jennifer said.
Yeah.
Not putting too much in. And if you're creating that habit of eating the rubbish, sugary foods all the time, then just become aware of it. Do I really need to eat this? Why am I eating this? Is it just because I'm not feeling particularly good at the moment? What would happen if I picked up an apple or a banana? It would make you feel better, because it gives you that instant hit, crap food, but then afterwards you feel terrible for eating it.
It's like that video on YouTube, isn't it? How to mindfully eat a sultana.
Mm.
Again, write it down.
If anybody wants to go and see that, it's fascinating to watch eating a sultana.
Yeah.
What else do we have to discuss?
Um,
Come on, look at your notes there, Karen. I've looked at the notes you sent me and I've gone through them all. So have you got any extra ones on that we can do before we wrap?
yeah, hydration.
Hydration.
Oh my God.
Drinking plenty of water.
Karen, you're drinking your tea. I saw Dan and I have our water, so.
This is honey and lemon, thank you.
What is it? Oh, honey and lemon? Ooh.
Yeah, don't bang it on the table again.
Yeah. I think that too, when I started just looking at that weight loss program, I thought that I drank a lot of water, but when I actually set out to calculate the amount of water I drank, I was basically carrying the same water bottle around with me all day, but in my mind, because I had it, I was drinking water. And I realized, like, okay, I'm sipping water. But I definitely 100%, if I don't drink a big volume of water, and then like on the weekends, my routine is different, so I taper off that, I can 100% feel that in my body.
Yeah.
I drink 3 of these a day, and they're as big as my head.
Yeah, it's really important. And I think a lot of people don't, they'll say, well, I can't drink that much water. There are so many healthy foods like cucumber, celery, watermelon that are jam-packed with water to begin with. So if you can't, guzzle down 3 of those bottles, you can eat some very water-soluble foods that will contribute as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Make a nice,
go on, make a nice what?
Make a nice hot water with honey, lemon, mint. You can add loads of things to hot water that spices it up, flavors it. It's lovely.
Yeah. Fresh herbs, mint.
I was reading something the other day about the hot water and lemon first thing in the morning, and how it was supposed to be. Well, it's been a craze for years, but that it actually doesn't do anything for your system. I don't know. Just putting it out there.
Oh, really?
And I also wanted to say that when you were talking before about diets, diet has become a word that no one really likes anymore, do we? Because it's just so controlling, and it's controlling of the person. You can only eat this on your diet. You can only do this, that. And I think we've actually sort of lost the point in healthy eating, because we've replaced it with the word diet. And so if you start eating healthy, people go, oh, are you on a diet? No, I'm just eating healthy. Oh, no, you're on a diet.
I'm on a healthy diet.
Yeah. But, they seem to feel like you shouldn't be doing that, because it's a diet. Why are you on a diet? And that's a lot of, I guess, other people's issues with, they might feel that they need to be on a diet, and they're seeing you eat healthier. So then they're trying to put you off negatively.
Projection of their stuff onto you.
Projection. I love that word. Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And because
it's
they
a word
want to
with a bad perception.
The what?
Diet is a word with a bad perception, because everybody's experiences have a different meaning for that word. So, like you said, they project that meaning onto you, and place their judgment.
Yeah. Because they've got issues with their own diet and their own body and their own whatever. So
that's it. You had to have the last word, Karen, didn't you? Had to be in there last.
No, I've got another one. Or do you want to wrap up now?
All right, go on then.
No, you sure you're looking at your watch? No, go on if you want.
No, because someone was ringing me at that time, so I was just disconnecting the phone call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go on. Squeeze it in.
And recognising, you know, when you're not feeling great, recognising and showing yourself kindness and love about how you're feeling as well.
Yeah.
And showing yourself compassion.
Not beating yourself up.
Yeah, being a bit easy on yourself, you know. And just try and do what you can to make yourself feel better. No expectations on yourself.
Yeah. And if you want to just have a day on the couch, that's okay. We don't have to be doing side hustles every day. We don't have to be the next person who's going to be a billionaire. You know, I think everything is great in moderation. And I think some people are of the idea now that they have to push themselves so much that in the end they're going to increase their anxiety, their depression. They're not going to be enjoying their life because they're so determined that they're going to make $1 million. And you might make it. You might be one of the lucky ones, but not everybody who does these courses is going to be a multimillionaire. So, you know, some people just need to have that in context in their head, that it's good to have a goal. It's good to try for these things, but don't put everything into it, because you still want to have a good life that you enjoy with friends. You know, I've seen things going, don't go out with your friends for a month. See how much better you feel. I immediately go, if you don't go out with your friends for a month, how shitty are you going to feel? You're not socializing. You're not having any interaction with anybody. You know, yes, you might want something, but you've still got to have a life.
Then you become isolated and alone. And
you do. Look, Blixer Girl has just said, love this. Thank you all. I'll watch the beginning once it's posted. Thank you, Blixer Girl. Yeah, it's been a great chat. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us at 6 a.m. in the morning. In what state are you in?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Isn't there a song? Pennsylvania? Oh, I don't know. Is there a song, an old-fashioned song about Pennsylvania?
Certainly possible. It was a very big state when we were becoming a country, so very important. We're the Keystone State. We're the important state in the independence.
Right.
Yeah.
And Karen, you're from Essex. Thank you for joining us at 11 a.m. in the morning.
Yes, indeed.
I actually just realised today that on October the 3rd, we are changing daylight savings. So I'm going to have to change appointments around for people coming on lives, because I don't want to be doing them at 9 p.m. I want to be doing them at 8 p.m. still. So it's going to be a little earlier for, oh God, in America, it would be really early, wouldn't it? Be an hour earlier. So it'd be 5 a.m. No, maybe I need to go.
Well, we do daylight savings in Pennsylvania too, but I heard rumor we're not. So I don't know what's going to happen this fall. We'll have to see.
So we'll be going back. You'll be going forward. Right?
No, we fall back as well.
So you fall back. Maybe we go forward. I don't know. I can never work out time zones. But England,
there's a little world clock on your phone. It's a good tool.
I've got that. And even though I've got that, I still stuff up when I'm recording podcasts and get the times wrong. And people are ringing me going, where are you? It's supposed to be on a podcast. I go, oh, sorry, I thought it was 2 hours time.
I'll keep tabs, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Karen, for joining us again from London, UK.
Thank you for having me, guys. Love to see your faces. It's great.
It was really good.
Have a little more in contact.
Yes, and I think it went a lot better than I was thinking, because I was worrying that, yes, we'd be talking over each other and it would be really hard to ask all the different questions, talk about the different topics, but I think we all handled it really well. So well done, guys. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Thank you
so much.
All right. Well, I'll see you again soon. Thank you.
All right.
Everybody
have a good
who's
night's
watching,
sleep, Dan.
I will. This will be up in about 10 minutes if you want to watch it. And I'll add both of you as a collaborator so it can go up on your page as well.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have
Enjoy
a great
your
day, both of you.
And you. Bye.
Bye-bye.